there have emerged kind of four ways people interpret John's vision in the book of Revelation. If you don't know, the start of the book of Revelation is some notes, some messages that Jesus was passing on to particular churches at the time that the revelation was being given by Gabriel to John. And then starting in chapter 4, we get this vision that pretty much runs through the rest of the book that was given to John. And the question is, how do we interpret, what interpretive framework do we use to look at this vision? And the first school of thought of how people interpret this vision is what's called preterism, right? Preterism, just so you know, the word preterism comes from a Latin word. I'm not a Latin scholar, okay? Preteritio, I believe is how you pronounce it. I apologize if I got it wrong, which just means something in the past. All right, preteritio refers to something in the past. So preterism says that this revelation that was given to John is a prophecy about things that have been fulfilled in the past already. Specifically, they think it's all things that happened during the first century AD. And that if we look in Matthew, for example, at the Olivet Discourse, the speech, the teachings that Jesus is giving on the Mount of Olives about the end, what a lot of people think are the end times, it says what Jesus is actually talking about there is the Roman army's destruction of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple that took place in AD 70. So the book of Revelation, they say, was written before the year AD 70, and what it's describing is Emperor Nero's persecution of Christians. If you've never heard the name Nero before, he was an emperor who, there was a big, huge fire in the city of Rome, and Nero blamed Christians for it. A lot of people think he did this because he might himself have been partially responsible for it. A lot of people died. And so he needed a scapegoat. And so he used Christians as his scapegoat, basically. So that's the preterist view of the book of Revelation, is that it's describing events that happened prior to 70 AD. All right. The next view is what's called Futurism. And that one you can probably figure out what it means, right? And again, if you have any questions as we go along, put them in the live chat. Excuse me, I'll see it here on the screen and we can interact. So Futurism, just like the name sounds like, thinks that this revelation that was given, this vision that was given to John in the book of Revelation, deals with events that will be coming in the future. All right. Revelation is a prophecy that is primarily about the future end of the world. Forgive me, my voice was doing okay earlier, and now it's already given out on me. We got a long night ahead of us, so I'll be drinking a lot of water. Chapters 4 through 22 refer to events that will happen in the future immediately prior to Jesus' second coming in the end of history, or leading up to, and actually kind of including Jesus' second coming and the end of history. All right, so that's view number 2. View number 3 is what's called historicism. All right, historicism is kind of the in-between view. All right, so we got one view that says Revelation is all about what happened in the first century. We have another view that says it's all about stuff that's going to happen in the future. And then you have this historicism view that says it's all about stuff that's happening now. All right, that's all about stuff that is happening from the first century up until the end of the world. All right. And so what they say is that all these symbols, I've got a quote here from George Eldon Ladd, and he describes it by saying the numerous symbols of the book designate various historic movements and events in the Western world and in the Christian church. One of the prevailing features of this interpretation has been the view that the beast, mentioned in Revelation, we'll get to the beast in a little bit, is the Roman papacy, and the false prophet is the Roman church. So this is a very Catholic view. It was popular at the time of the Reformation and coming out of, or I should say, popular from a lot of churches that come out of the Reformation. Then we get to the fourth view, which is called idealism. Idealism says Revelation is not about history, and it's not about prophecy of what's going to happen in the future. It's a drama. It's a narrative. It's a story. It's a poem, basically. It's poetry, you could think of it. Now, just like poetry uses figurative language, poetic language, to illustrate real truths, this view says Revelation is this dramatic presentation about spiritual realities. So the main point, according to this view of Revelation, is to portray the church's struggles from the entire time, from the first century through the second coming of Christ, all right? Kind of to dramatically portray those struggles. And the symbols are not intended to refer to specific people or events. They're just kind of typical, representative people or events. All right. Now, while I say those are the four views, that does not mean that you have to firmly land in one view or the other. All right. There's certainly carryover between. I mean, I personally kind of hold some views that would be more futurist and others that might be more preterist. So I'm not idealist, I'll tell you that. And so you can have people that kind of borrow a bit from here and there, but generally speaking, those are the four ways that people look at the book of Revelation.